Carolina was mute. She never spoke a word. She was a compassionate person, one you hoped bad things would never happen to. This, in fact, is the reason she was the perfect candidate for this story. Carolina had been picking cherries in the orchard at the edge of town when it happened, her honey-colored curls blowing in the summer wind against her delicate tan complexion. It was unexpected. No one would have dreamed of this to happen to poor Carolina. She was kidnapped, grabbed right off her ladder, spilling cherries all over the ground. The captor held her tight in their furry grip. Carolina was certain who her captor was, a werewolf. She couldn't scream, so she kicked. The werewolf would not let her go. They started running away from the village and everything Carolina knew and loved. She gave up. She stopped kicking and started crying, imagining all the horrible things that were going to happen to her. The werewolves slowed down. They were coming up upon something. Carolina could see huts made of logs and straw, small farms, and fire pits scattered amongst them. But her captor did not stop at any of them. They kept going into the village, into a cave at the back of the village full of wolves. The pup stared at her as they passed, tears still streaming down her face. A werewolf carrying her was at a walk now as they entered the cave. She looked at his face. It was apparent it was a he. Carolina had wolves in her storybooks. He put her down in front of the odd-looking female in the cave. She spoke to Carolina like a mother to her child.
"I'm so sorry,"
she said.
"I'm sorry too. I was with a group on our hunt when we heard some Capitol guards talking nearby about coming to ransack your village. I sent the others back to bring the news to the elder. I ran as fast as I could, but you were the only one I could save."
The wolf who had been carrying her said. Sadness laced his voice. Carolina said nothing. She couldn't say anything. She was mute. That was apparent to the wolves now. Any normal person would have screamed in protest on the way there, or made any sound at all. The old female ushered for any other werewolves present to leave. Downcast and wishing they could have done more, they left, leaving the two alone. The female put a gentle claw on Carolina. She was on the floor now, crying silent sobs. Carolina pounded on the elder's chest, crying even harder, making breathing difficult. Then she wrote in the dirt of the cave floor. "I want to die," she wrote.
"Dear, there's no reason for that. You can stay here in the village as long as you wish,"
she said before leaving. Carolina stayed in the wolves' village for 2 months. In those 2 months, the pups became fascinated with her. They had never seen a human before, let alone a mute one. They were the ones who mourned the longest when they found her body. After 2 months with the wolves, Carolina drowned herself. She had lost the will to live, and despite the desperate tries of the werewolves, they could not give it back to her. They buried her in the ruins of that cherry orchard where the story began, and engraved on that headstone was the story of Carolina and the wolves.